You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Profoundly Pointless. My name is Nick Vinzant. Coming up in this episode, the biggest eating challenges and the best food.
I want to go and try a restaurant challenge or competitive eating. So I bought a cheap $90 camera, took it to my first ever restaurant challenge, did it no problem, wanted dessert afterward, and the rest is history. I just was hooked. You generally find that people who do competitive eating are relatively fit. And that's because there's this theory that's about the bigger you get, the more fat that's around your organs, the more that's pushing down on your abdomen and stopping your stomach from being able to expand as much as you want.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. If you get a chance, download, subscribe, share. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. So our first guest has traveled the country, taking on some of the most well-known and biggest eating challenges out there. And she has this fascinating insight, not only into where you can get a lot of food, but where you can go to get some really good food, and also what happens to your body after you eat 10 double cheeseburgers or a giant plate of seafood. This is professional eater Katina Eats Kilos. How did you get started in this? Was this a goal that you set out for, or was this something that just happened?
It was kind of a goal that I set out for in a way. I got my start after doing a bodybuilding show in 2019. I did a women's physique competition at a little bodybuilding show called the Empire Classic. And as I was dieting for the show, I was very, very hungry all the time, obviously. And so I was watching people on YouTube do big cheat days and competitive eating. And then I was, of course, a big fan of Man versus Food growing up. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind as well. And the whole time kind of leading into the show, I was like, I could do that. I could do competitive or professional eating. I could do a restaurant challenge, no problem. So after the show, I placed really well. I got 5th, which wasn't bad because I competed as a natural and this was an untested show. I'll leave that where you will on how you want to infer that. But I was really tiny on stage. I was 104 pounds and I was like, I'm going to put on muscle and I'm also very competitive. I want to go and try a restaurant challenge or competitive eating. So I bought a cheap $90 camera, took it to my first ever restaurant challenge, did it no problem, wanted dessert afterward, and the rest is history. I just was hooked, kept taking a camera along and beating bigger and bigger local challenges here in Spokane.
Now, did you know always that okay, I can eat a lot? Or was this something that you were, oh man?
Yes. So I've always known I could eat a lot. As a kid, I had a really huge appetite, taco night. I was always keeping up with my dad, my stepbrother and everything. So, I always kind of knew that. And then I think the defining moment was as I was I dieted for a lot of years, kind of just for fun, just to kind of look good, feel good. But while I was deployed, we kind of had a dining system, a cafeteria. So it was kind of all you can eat in a way. And I would load up so much vegetable and stuff onto my plate just to stay full that it would flex my paper plate in the cafeteria. And so the workers started calling me spinach and were in shock because I would just have this thing just full of food. And so I actually had a buddy that was it'd be kind of cool if you started a YouTube channel about being fit, but being able to eat a stupid amount of food. And at the time I was like, no, that's a ridiculous idea. And then, flash forward 2 years and I ended up doing it.
Why are you good at it? is there something physiologically? Like, is your stomach bigger? Are you just like, I'm just going to keep eating? Like, why are you good at it?
There's some, genetics involved there, that some people are just genetically able to hold more food in their stomach. And then some of it also is dieting. The physiological and psychological effects of dieting for a long time can be a severe food focus and then trouble with hormone regulation. So to the point where you could eat until you're physically miserable, but like psychologically, you're still going to want to eat food. And that kind of like that hunger, that drive can make it to where like even doing my first restaurant challenges where I wasn't trained, practiced at all, but it was like, no big deal. I mean, I'm really, really full, but I'll keep eating. But as that kind of goes away and as you put on weight and you get back to a healthy weight range and your hormones come back to normal and everything like that, then it comes down to doing a lot of practice. And so I think just being that discipline from my bodybuilding side and competing on that side kind of carried over to practicing and staying physically ready for the restaurant challenges.
You're obviously a very fit person. Like, how do you balance those two things out between looking fit but eating like 10,000 calories a day?
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes a lot of math. And so I've actually always been a pretty big nutrition and fitness nerd. So it kind of does help. And then my degree is in kinesiology. So basically, so on camera, I'm eating these crazy meals, right? But I don't eat like that every day. So basically how I look at it and how I looked at my bodybuilding diet as well was instead of looking at my calories on a daily basis, I looked at them on a weekly average. So I figured out that if I wanted to slowly gain weight, which was my goal with the professional eating, that I needed to eat roughly 21,000 calories per week. So if I film, say, 2 videos in a week, maybe one restaurant challenge is 6,000 calories. So there's that one day. And then maybe later on in the week, I do like a smaller for funsies challenge that's only like 4,000 calories. I know that I still have 11,000 calories to play with throughout the rest of the week. So sometimes, the day after doing a big restaurant challenge, you're pretty much full. And I might completely fast the day after a challenge because I'm still satisfied and full. Or maybe I'll only have like a small salad or something like that. So basically, it just comes down to your nutrition and staying disciplined. When I came back from my recent Florida tour, and that was 2 months on the road where I was doing restaurant challenges back to back. I had 0 time to exercise and I didn't have time to keep my calories under that 21,000 per week. So I got pretty big. So the only reason we're talking now and I look relatively fit is I've had about 2 months of dieting back down again and getting myself back into kind of fighting shape. So it's just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of discipline.
Your natural weight would be about what? And how is that different from other people who do what you do? Like, did they weigh generally the same or are they much bigger, like 300-400 pound people?
No, actually, you'll find that in the professional and competitive eating circuit that most of the top competitors are going to be at a lower weight range or very, very fit. So if you look at those who are doing the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, there's really nobody that's that overweight that's up on stage performing well. If you look at Joey Chestnut, he's a pretty built guy. He's the guy who's done like 75 hot dogs in 10 minutes. You look at Matt Stoney, who has won in the past. If you remember Kobayashi from years ago, if you ever watched that on ESPN, the little Japanese guy, he'd pull up his shirt and he had like abs. Yeah. You generally find that people who do competitive eating are relatively fit. And that's because there's this theory that's about the bigger you get, the more fat that's around your organs, the more that's pushing down on your abdomen and stopping your stomach from being able to expand as much as you want. And surprisingly, the act of eating is pretty physical and you need to be in really good shape. So the fuller you get, the more pressure that also puts on your lungs. So you can get to the point of fullness where it's actually you can only really take very shallow breaths. So it's kind of like and your heart is going like at 120 beats per minute. If you don't have that cardiovascular health, that would be super, super dangerous. I can imagine. There's really not a lot of study that goes into that, but for the most part, everyone who would consider themselves a professional or competitive in any way is going to be in really decent shape.
Are you a competitive eater or a professional eater? Like, what's the specific nomenclature I should be using here?
I consider myself a professional eater simply because I haven't actually ever done a food eating competition. So I consider a competition where I'm side by side going head to head with somebody doing something like Nathan's hot dog eating contest or a taco eating contest or something. I've never actually done one. Every time I've signed up for one, the event has been like canceled or something has happened. And it's really just not my forte anyway. I'm more of like an endurance runner, if you would put it that way. I can eat a lot over a long period of time, and I'd rather do that as opposed to soaking a hot dog bun in water and stuffing it in my face. That just doesn't really appeal to me. I kind of like to enjoy the food at the same time. I'm a foodie at heart, but I also am competitive. So professional eater is kind of a term that I use. Mostly I'll attribute it to my boyfriend's been using it for a while. Some of your viewers might have heard of him, Randy Santel. He's a pretty big household name. He actually just did his 1,000th restaurant challenge win just a few days ago. He kind of helped coin that term, and basically it just means that you earn your living from eating food and touring and doing this as a job, and there's no side hustle to it. It just became the primary focus. So my job, basically, I consider is to entertain people through the act of eating food.
You yourself, like, what is it, like 250,000 subscribers on YouTube? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, just over that.
Are you surprised that there's that many people who are interested in it?
Not that are interested in the topic itself, because I think everyone can relate to eating. I mean, that's a discipline that we're all pretty focused on and we require. So I think everyone can relate to it pretty well. But I was definitely surprised that people specifically wanted to follow me. My channel grew way faster than expected. I was really, really lucky when it came to my YouTube growth and my reach in that way. So I was able to go from YouTube kind of being a side hustle to being my profession much quicker than most people would. A lot of people, it takes years and years. And for me, I was able to do that within 5 or 6 months. So I was definitely blown away by the level of support that I got on YouTube and the helpfulness just of the competitive and professional eating community, because we are a pretty small niche as far as content creators go. I mean, we all have probably heard each other's names. And but as far as viewers go, there's a lot of different types of eating that people like to watch. I know that sounds really weird. So you have people that like to watch the man versus food style restaurant challenges. You have people that like to watch people build challenges at home. You have those that like to just watch people sit quietly and talk to a camera about food. That's called a mukbang, which is like an eating show. I think I pronounce it. I never know. Some people are like, it's a mukbang, mukbang. I don't know. But it's like a phenomenon where you just sit and talk quietly. There's people that are into what's called ASMR, where you don't talk at all. You just they like to hear the chewing noises, which is a little far-fetched and different for me. Not my cup of tea, but I mean, there's a wide gamut of what people want to see. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of viewership in it and a very broad kind of like diversity of the type of people who want to watch as well.
When you talk about people who are watching it, are they generally watching it because they just want to, see the places that you go, see the different challenges, maybe just, they relate to you? Or does it sometimes verge on like, okay, maybe we're getting into like fetish kind of things, right?
I would assume that if maybe like ASMR maybe would kind of fall into that category you're talking about, not necessarily like a fetish. I mean, to me, that kind of has like connotations in the back end.
Yeah.
But I think that for the most part, you kind of have this range of people that are into it for watching the food. Maybe they're on some sort of like specific diet themselves and they can't eat it. So I know that there's like a lot of viewers that are, maybe diabetic and they can't have a donut and they love to just watch you eat a donut. Or maybe they're gluten intolerant or something. And they just want to see you eat that kind of food. And then you have the other end of people that they want to see the travel, the unique restaurants, etc. And then those that just want to see the competition of it all. And then there's those that have a combination of all of them. So like me as a viewer, before I got started, I liked the competitive nature of man versus food and being like, wow, that guy just ate 8 pounds of cheeseburger. That's crazy. Like, that's awesome to see that that's physically possible. And then there was the other side of me that was also watching because I can't eat the food. So I'm just going to kind of live vicariously through so-and-so eating the food. So I think it might just be like a combination. But it's kind of hard to speak for whatever other people are into. I'm not entirely sure.
How does your body adjust to it, right? Are you basically either completely full or starving, or does your body kind of adjust pretty quickly throughout the week?
It depends on the sort of schedule I'm on. So like when I was touring in Florida, there was zero time to get hungry. I was so full that it was actually kind of holding me back because it was like I'd have a challenge and maybe I'd only have 24 hours to recover before the next challenge. And being kind of a smaller sized human, I'm not able to kind of burn those calories, burn through that fuel as quickly as others maybe could. So whereas someone like my boyfriend who's 6'5" and a big guy, he can ride his bike for a couple hours and at least digest a fair amount of food. Me, it would take, I'm, a third of his body weight. It would take me 3 times as long at least to burn those calories. So generally, if you're on tour, it's mostly feeling uncomfortable all the time and very, very full. But when I'm at home and I have like a more relaxed schedule, I maybe only film 2 videos a week at the most. And so I'm able to make that a pretty good balance, and I'll kind of strategically do maybe one super high calorie day. Like today I'm actually filming throughout the day. So I'll probably be between 10 and 15,000 calories today. So I know that later on in the week when I am going to film again, it'll probably have to be a really small challenge. And then I'm also probably going to end up fasting tomorrow. I don't imagine I'll be hungry tomorrow. And maybe the day after that, maybe I'll only have like 500 or 600 calories. And then by the time the next day rolls around, I'll definitely be good and hungry and ready to film again. So it's all just balance.
What's the next day like after a big challenge?
It depends on what the kind of food is. There's sometimes where the day following a challenge, I'll feel fantastic because all that energy will be there. I'll have a lot of carbohydrates and I'll perform great in the gym. But that's generally if you have something that's more middle of the road, like maybe a pasta challenge or like an easier pizza challenge. But if you have something that's like relatively heavy or very, very high in fat or very, very high in sugar, it can definitely make you feel very sluggish and just kind of, sleepy and kind of tired throughout the day. So it really just depends on what the challenge is made of. A good example was I did a really big barbecue food challenge, and as delicious and amazing as that was, 2 racks of ribs has like the fat content that I should be eating in like a month. So I was definitely very sluggish the next day. And I feel like that one was probably one of my longer recoveries. It probably took me about 30 hours to recover from that challenge, just feeling just kind of sleepy, and all you really want to, the energy that normally I would be able to go and lift something at the gym and have a good workout. I was like, maybe I'll go for a walk slowly and just kind of chill. So it all depends, really.
Are you ready for some listener/harder questions?
Absolutely. Yeah. Open book.
Easiest challenge that you've ever done?
Probably my very, very first one. My very first restaurant challenge was the Fat Burger XXL King Burger Challenge. And basically you have a 20-minute time limit to finish I believe it's 3 half-pound patties with like all the toppings of just like a cheeseburger. And so you have to eat it. And it's maybe comes out to like 1.5 pounds, like a 2-pound challenge. You just have to finish that in 20 minutes. So that was the first challenge I ever did. And Fat Burger is a smaller chain. I think they have some here in the Washington State. There's a couple in like Vegas, maybe Arizona, California. It's not a huge chain, but they're around. So that one was probably one of the easier ones.
Hardest one?
That changes every time. I always have like a different opinion of what was hard, but probably one of the ones that I went the hardest on was my boyfriend and I did a team cheesesteak challenge, and it was 4 feet of Philly cheesesteak that we had to finish. And I can't remember if it was somewhere between 12 and 14 pounds total of food, but the bread was just so thick, and it was like that really crusty kind of bread, almost like a soup bread bowl.
Yeah.
So that came down to the wire. We ended up winning, but to win, I was dipping the bread, and you also had to finish a shake at the same time. We each had to finish a shake. And so I was dipping the bread in shake, and then it got so tight at the very end that we were both dipping our bread, which is something that I just brought up I hate doing, dipping the bread in water. And it was my first time ever doing that in front of people. And I was just cramming as much as I could into our face, just because the combination of the bread being filling and just the jaw fatigue from having to chew for an hour and on steak and cheese that got cold and all that stuff. It was the hardest thing ever, but we came away with the win in that 1 hour time limit. So probably that one.
Why does the water help? I don't know.
It basically just makes it squishier and you don't have to really chew it. So you know how, like, say you get something kind of like, I don't know, something I can't really think of. It's like a brownie. If you eat a brownie,
Yeah.
the easiest swallow it and maybe chase it with some milk or coffee. It's kind of like that idea. It just kind of helps you swallow the food and get it down quicker instead of just chewing on it for so long. Because that outer crust, when your jaw is tired, is just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Hardest food to eat, easiest food to eat. Like, oh, this is a pancake challenge. This is easy. Like, oh no, this is a potato challenge. I'm in trouble.
I think one of the easier foods to eat quickly is probably something like an omelet challenge or eggs, because you kind of can just shovel it in your face pretty easily. So like eggs or like hash browns or something really soft where you can literally just kind of shovel it in and there's really no technique involved. And then on the flip side, ones that can be challenging are like sandwich challenge or stuff, things that have a lot of chewing involved. Steak can be difficult if it's overcooked, or any sort of meat challenge, because you're spending so much time cutting it, so much time chewing it. It obviously doesn't taste as good if it's overcooked. So, I mean, it can be anywhere from a super chewy crust pizza to an overcooked steak. Those tend to be the toughest.
Do you ever get the meat sweats?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. While you're eating food, it can get to a point where you're just so hot and so overwhelmed with like heat that you just feel absolutely miserable. And I remember probably one of the worst ones for that like miserable hot feeling was I did I think it was 5 or 6 pound chili cheese hot dog challenge. And it was in San Jose, California. It's at a place called Parker's Chili Dogs. And it was on Man vs. Food. And it was in the middle of summer. And so this little shop had like one little AC unit. And it was probably like 90 degrees in the shop. And then you're eating this boiling hot 5 pound platter of chili and cheese and hot dog and meat. And I remember just being drenched in sweat, just like trying to eat this. And when you're hot, you know how even in the summer, like all you kind of want is maybe like a couple pieces of fruit and you're good, like, or a small salad and you're good. It's like that. So you're combating just that. I do not want food. My body temperature is way up here. It's not fun. Really not fun.
Have any of these challenges ever kind of ruined like a food for you? Like, oh, I can never eat that again.
Yeah, unfortunately, over in the Seattle area, and not to throw anyone under the bus, I got food poisoning from a place called Sam's Tavern while doing a burger challenge. And they had a blue cheese burger there. And I could kind of taste that the blue cheese was a little off as I was doing it. But I mean, I'm in the middle of the challenge. I can't really just be like, well, I'm not going to finish it. So I just ate it anyway and was like kind of hoping that maybe I just wasn't hungry and that's why it tasted weird. And yeah, I was very, very sick after that, very sick. And to this day, now I can almost smell blue cheese again. And I used to love blue cheese. That's why I ordered it as one of the burgers. But I can smell it again. And now I'm kind of like, okay, that sounds okay. But for a while, it was to the point where even just saying the word blue cheese was like repulsive to me. Oh,
couldn't even can't even be next to each other in a sentence.
And I believe that's one of the only times I've ever had food poisoning from a restaurant challenge. So, I mean, it's not exactly common, and it was very kind of just off the wall. So not to throw them under the bus, I'm sure normally they do a great job, and I'd never heard of it happening to anyone else before. It was maybe just an off day.
What was the tastiest one? Like, is the food usually good, or are they like, okay, here comes the eater?
Most of the time it's very delicious. But the tastiest one I did was very recent in Florida. It was a place called the Ugly Grouper on Anna Maria Island. And they did this giant seafood spread that was incredible. And I love seafood, but they made this big 2-pound shrimp taco with fresh blackened shrimp in it and everything. And it had this beautiful, like, crispy cheese skirt baked into the taco shell. It was beautiful. They did a fried green tomato topped with like a crab remoulade type thing that was divine. They did a Polynesian boat filled with blackened grouper that was next level, cheese logs. And then they had a lovely cocktail that they served with it. I think normal shrimp cocktail with it. And then dessert was a turtle cheesecake. And it was just there was so much variety. There was nothing to get sick of. It was just like all these different little things to taste and try. And all of them were done so amazingly. It was one of the most fun challenges I've ever done just for that reason.
You've reached a level, like, do you tell these restaurants you're coming? You just show up?
So it kind of depends. The recent thing with me meeting my boyfriend is he hosts like events. And so he's got such a big following that people will come out to watch him, like the Man vs. Food TV show. So he'll get, 50, 60 people there. So Before that point, I would just kind of show up to a restaurant, double check they had the challenge still, and I would just show up, film myself doing the challenge and have the video and skedaddle. But with him, it's like a tour. And a lot of the times restaurants will reach out to him actually and say, hey, we want to bring you in. We want to either kick off a challenge, or we would just love to have you eat this crazy amount of food for us and, just get our name out there and stuff like that. So it's kind of turned into more of, I go along that event line with him now. And I don't think I could ever look back from that, because it's so energizing to have those people live in the crowd. You're not just doing it for that, the people on the other side of the screen will forgive me if I lose. When you have people that are just roaring for you to finish and just so pulling for you, it is so motivating. Like that Philly cheesesteak challenge, I don't think I would have had that. There's a point where your mental fortitude only goes so far, but when you have a crowd of people, there was probably 80 to 100 people at that challenge just screaming for you to finish. You're just like, okay, I'm going for it. It's like a big Super Bowl event or something. So,
do you ever get can you get injured? You injure your stomach?
I'm sure it's a possibility, and I believe it's happened before. And obviously there's always the risk of choking or something, but no, for the most part, I at least play it safe. I'm not doing the competitive eating type stuff where I'm eating, like swallowing ridiculously large chunks of food very quickly.
Challenge, you felt like you were over your head. Like, oh, this isn't.
Yeah. So in this video, actually, it's funny you say that, just posted, and it was unfortunate. It was the finale tour. It was my final tour restaurant challenge while we were in Florida. And we had a Culver's franchisee that wanted to host a food challenge for Randy and I to do at their local Culver's restaurant. And so talking to them, we were originally going to do 10 of their butter burgers with a side of cheese curds and then a concrete mixer, which, if you haven't heard of Culver's, it's basically like a really hard frozen custard. And then you have your fried cheese curds, and then a butter burger is just like a fancy kind of version of a burger. Pretty good though. But we got there, and the owner kind of was like, well, we think that the single butter burgers are going to be too easy. What do you think about doing doubles? And my boyfriend agreed to it. He goes, okay, we'll do it. I think we can do it. And so since he agreed to it, I was kind of like, well, I'll agree to it. And so I agreed to it. And the moment I saw him struggling through the challenge, I was like, I know this is going to be so hard for me, because adding that extra patty to 10 different burgers was an extra 30 ounces, which is an extra 2 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Once you say that, like
2 pounds. And then they come out and, imagine your standard fast food tray. When you bring that out to you, those were full of the burgers, plus it was a family size thing of cheese curds, which I believe came out to just over a pound, plus the concrete mixer. So in total, my guess was that was probably between 7 and 8 pounds of food total, with all that bread. And then, meat gets cold over time as you're trying to eat it. And
yeah,
I had just done a challenge that I had lost that was just 10 burgers without the sides. And so the moment it came out, I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. This is going to be real rough. But I gave it my all. I just didn't quite make it for the finale challenge. But that was one where the moment it came out, I was like, yeah, no.
This ain't happening.
That's not happening.
What's like your holy grail one? What's the one that you're looking at and like, I haven't done this yet, but someday? Ooh,
that's something that I would like to do. Ooh. There's a lot over in like the UK I would love to do. There's like some really cool looking barbecue challenges over there. So there's a lot kind of overseas that really appeal to me. It's kind of hard to pick and choose which one I would like to do the most, because I kind of tie the location to why I want to be there more so than the challenge itself. But I'm trying to think of if there's any sort of like holy grail challenge I can think of. I've kind of already did the one challenge that was always on my bucket list to go and try, even before I started professional eating. And that was the 72 ounce Big Texan Steak Challenge in Amarillo, Texas. I was able to go and do that challenge. And that was kind of my original holy grail. That's like something that anybody should just go and order just for the sight of it and the experience of it. They make a show out of it. It's only $72. If you lose, take it home and enjoy it. It's a really good steak, but they put you up on this awesome stage. And this challenge has been going on since, I want to say, the 60s. They put you up on this stage. There's like actual like official timers going, like you would see at like a sports stadium. You can watch them cooking the steak, and like everyone's cheering for you, and there's live music, and it's just an event. It's an event, and it's so much fun. And I think that even if you know that you're not going to finish it, just go up there and have fun. Sit up on the stage and just go eat some steak and enjoy yourself.
It does sound kind of cool.
72 ounces of steak, that's a lot of steak for $72. That
is actually kind of cheap.
Yeah, because you get the steak,
think about it.
You get a potato on the side, you get 3 prawns and a side salad.
Can you just order it and then just walk off the stage and split it with your family? I feel like that would actually be a budgetary.
Yes. So no, you do sign like a contract. And I think there's somewhere in the paperwork that says that you can't share it, but you can, if you can't finish it, box it up and take it home. But there's no sharing allowed at any point when you order that. You do sign there's some small fine print. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure I read that you couldn't share. You had to take it home.
That's pretty much all the questions that I have. And do you think anything that we missed, or what's coming up next for you?
Next for me is moving to Milwaukee with my boyfriend. So Randy Santel and I were moving to Milwaukee, and he's going to be starting his registered dietitian's internship. So we'll be over there, and I'm excited to try new food and kind of start highlighting that on my channel and just have fun, kind of almost being like a little bit of a food tourist in that area. I'm also going to be going to Vegas in July for my 30th birthday. So I'm excited to go. I've never been to Vegas. So hit up some of the big buffets. I plan on visiting Hell's Kitchen, maybe doing a couple restaurant challenges there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot upcoming.
I want to thank Katina so much for joining us. If you want to connect with her, we have linked to her on our social media accounts. We're Profoundly Pointless on Twitter and Instagram. And we have also included her information in the episode description.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Okay, now let's go ahead and bring in John Shull. I was going to start this a different way, but you brought something to my attention. One of the most consistent complaints we've gotten about this podcast is audio quality. And John has just realized that he's had a microphone headset in his house for the last 152 episodes, and he just now decided that he was going to put it on. Can you explain yourself just really quickly, please? Because my rage, I just can't believe you.
Well, I mean, there's
you said it this whole time.
Well, no. So there's two things. One, I've only had it about a year and a half, so that's what,
okay. So only 75 episodes.
And I literally had to splice the wires back together because I ripped it apart one night.
You actually put the wires back together?
Yeah, I mean, splicing wires isn't hard, you know. I mean, you just gotta do them and then connect them to the wires that they were originally connected to. And
how did you learn? Did someone show you how to do that? I feel like that's a risky thing to suddenly just go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to rewire my house. Let me go ahead and give it a shot with these 200,000 volts.
Well, I can tell you I'm not touching it right now while I'm recording. I can tell you that. Just in case.
It's connected to your head, though.
But I mean, it was sitting here. I just, I thought that my audio sounded pretty good the last 30, 40 episodes with what I was using. So never really got around to it.
Well, I mean, I guess that's just a difference in our personalities. I'm someone that always strives to be better, and you're somebody that's pretty much okay with just okay, I guess. That's kind of I'm learning a lot. Do you generally eat because you're hungry or because you're bored?
I'm going to say both.
Ooh.
But
that's true, right? You get bored and then you get hungry, like you realize it. Like, oh, I'm a little hungry. I could eat. Are you a snacker or are you going to eat all at once?
I'll eat it all at once for sure.
I kind of snack throughout the day and then I'm going to have one big dinner.
Well, that's how you stay so fit, man. And you know, no one can see this, but I give you credit because I don't think I've ever seen that sweatshirt you're wearing. So bravo to you.
You know what? I'm just going to throw this out here is that now that we've been doing these video chants, you've been hitting me with an odd number of compliments about my appearance, right?
Yeah. I mean, mostly about your hair, though. I mean, not about your body. Mostly about your hair.
Now you've gone into just if you find me to be a generally attractive man, it's okay to say it, John. It's all right. We're two happily married men that are secure in our sexuality, and whatever people want to do, that's fine. But do you feel like I'm a good looking man?
I
That's a yes.
What an awkward question to ask. You're too small for me, so I mean, I wouldn't answer that correctly. You're not my cup of tea. I'll tell you that.
How much? Okay, if I'm 5'8" and 3/4, how tall would I have to be like your jam? To be like your jam.
Oh my God, I don't know why we're even having this conversation. And it's fine if you are. So please don't think I'm making fun of folks.
We're not doing anything like that. I'm just putting John under pressure. Like, how tall would I have to be for you to be like, ooh?
I mean,
that man is
at least taller than me, so probably 6 foot, a good 6 foot, 6'1", something out there.
Okay, that's all the stuff that I had. I'm still pretty upset about you just now finding headphones, but also impressed that you rewired them.
Wow, we're just going on. Let's just go to the shout outs, huh?
Okay, that's what we usually do.
All right. Well, we're going to start with 6920 Buster here, Henry Sanchez. I don't think that's real. Miguel, appreciate you. Jack, Omar Martinez, Oliver, whose handle is my fucking name is Oliver. That's interesting. Blake,
can you cuss in a Twitter handle? That seems interesting.
Well, he's Instagram, but yeah. I
would think that they would actually have a policy that would not allow that.
I don't even. I don't. I don't know. I guess I don't know the rules. Let's see here. I think I left off on Blake. Raymond. That's two people, Blake and then Raymond. Armando Padilla. Tomazio. And then Roy Allen. Not to be confused with Ray Allen, naturally.
I will give you this compliment. Your hair is also looking nicer than it usually is today.
Thanks. I got a haircut. And I don't know if you can see it. I'm a little redder than usual because I got some sun this weekend. Yeah.
Do you put on sunscreen when you go outside, or are you just going to wing it and see if you burn?
I used to just wing it because I didn't care about looking like a gigantic red manatee. But now I put on sunscreen.
When did you fight it for a little bit and like, oh, I'm not going to do it. People are telling me to put on sunscreen. I'm not going to do it.
I just think, I just think I got more wise as I got older, I think, and realized I didn't want to get burned the fuck out of. True story. Ready for story time, everyone out there? All right.
Sure. There's some dogs barking outside my house.
The third date, me and my wife we went to a beach in Florida, and we got 2nd-degree sunburn because either of us were not wearing suntan lotion.
So now this interests me, and I don't want you to take offense to this. This is coming from a legitimately honest curiosity space, right?
Okay.
So you're on your 3rd date.
Uh-huh.
You do not have the body type that I would go on a 3rd date to the beach with. That seems like a bold move on your part.
I'm just comfortable with it, man. I mean,
Okay.
I was also about
good for you.
45 pounds lighter then. I mean, I was still a big guy, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't pushing 340. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I would compare it kind of like if my wife and I, we were on our third date and we went to a carnival ride where they measured everyone's height. Like, ooh, let's go ahead and wait till she's let's wait till she's a little bit more committed before I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm just impressed. Like that's a power move on your call. Did you go shirt off?
yeah, of course, man. Would you rather be known as the worst at something or the best at something?
I would say in general, it's probably the best. It's probably better to be the best at something. But if I had a choice between, say, okay, you can be in the top 2 to 5% of something, or you can be the worst at it, I would rather be the worst at it. I would rather be the worst at something than be moderately good at it.
In my opinion, I think people like history remembers the worst more or less than they do the better. Like obviously remember, we talk a lot about like Michael Jordan and basketball references, but like, I think people remember a lot of the worst people. I'm right down the middle, I think. Yeah, I'm probably right there with you. Plus it'd be a lot more fun to be the worst at something. Right?
Right. There's no pressure.
Well, there's no pressure, and you can just be like, yeah, I'm the worst basketball player ever. Like, I've been ranked the worst ever. That's a pretty awesome title to have.
Have you ever tried to be intentionally bad at something? I can't think of it. I mean, against my children, I don't run full speed. I'm not letting them beat me in a race because I got to show them what's up. But I'm not going all out. I can't say that I've ever tried to be bad at something. Although I think it's a viable work strategy. If you don't want to have new responsibilities, you should go ahead and then prove that you're terrible at that thing. And then it will no longer be your responsibility. That's something I've always wanted to do, but never had the actual courage to do. Just to think if my boss assigned me something new and I don't really want to do this, so I'm just going to be purposely terrible at it. I've always wanted to do that, but I've never had the courage to do it.
I agree with you. And I've always just wanted not to do something, and maybe not at my job or whatever, just maybe in general, and just see what happens. Like when my wife is like, take out the trash. What if I just told her no?
I don't know. No one's ever thought of it. No.
What if my neighbor came over and he can clearly see I have a leaf blower, and he's like, hey, can I borrow your leaf blower? And I just go, no. What would really happen?
Man. Well, nothing. They would probably actually respect you more for it. Apparently, the difference between a lot of successful people and semi-successful people is that really successful people say no a lot more. That's what I've heard, according to this 3-second ad I saw before watching a YouTube video on the Logan Paul fight.
Oh, God. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second. Yeah,
I figured. Okay. Yeah. All right. What's next?
I mean, I just fucking guy. All right. Before we get to that, what do you think you could do? Eat an extra large pizza in 5 minutes or 10 hot dogs with the buns in 10 minutes?
Well, neither. I think I've eaten a full pizza before after a long night out, but it was probably a medium pizza. That's probably about as far as I've gone. I know the most of hot dogs I've ever eaten is 3 at one time.
I mean,
how many have you eaten at one time?
Probably not more than, probably within a 2 or 3 hour period, I probably knocked down a dozen, 15 maybe. Because I was at a bachelor party and you just kept going back and getting dogs and things. And
I'm going to go ahead and say that if you spent 2 to 3 hours eating hot dogs at a bachelor party, you wasted your priorities there. Right? You had a choice between doing other things and your choice was to go back and eat hot dogs.
Listen, it was midday. Everything was good. It was great.
Okay. All right. That's not what I would have done, but that's on me. I like to have a good time, not stuff my face with other people's meat. But that's what you like to do.
It's processed meat, so it's good.
Okay.
So listen, I have two things here.
Were they big thick ones, big hard ones that you were shoving in there? Big thick sausages that you were going for? Or were you taking 12 little tiny wieners into your mouth?
I don't even want to answer that question.
That's probably the best phrasing we've ever had on one of those. Okay, go to your next thing.
Yeah, so listen, I want your opinion on two things that you would deem as current event, all right? The first is Jeff Bezos just got divorced or whatever. He is going into space now with somebody else from Amazon, and then they're going to take somebody who wins this contest that they're having. If, say, you entered that contest and you actually got selected to go on an Amazon rocket into space, would you do it? Would you not trust it? If it was me, I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't enter it for one, but say I did, and I got picked, I think I'd probably back out because I'm not sure I want to die.
I would back out if it was like me and two other random strangers that were in this contest. But if you're talking about if not one of the richest people in the world, he's probably going to make some pretty strong indications that he doesn't want to die, right? Like they're going to take some extra precautions when you're sending $100 billion up into the air. If it's just me and you, they're going to be like, oh, hey, man, this switch isn't working. Don't worry about it. Send their asses up. What would you like? He just doesn't seem like the kind of guy, quite honestly, that I would want to be like in one of those small capsules with, like up there. Like, hey, Jeff. Does he seem like I don't think he's actually a real person. I don't think that him or Mark Zuckerberg are actually real people. I think they're robots that someone just created in a lab. I don't think they're actually real people. Do they look like real people, act like real people?
I would have a beer with Bill Gates, I think.
Right. He seems like he's actually a real person. Those other two are just they're like robots pretending to be humans.
Yeah, I mean, can we at least throw Elon Musk in there too as the robot person?
Oh, well, no, he's clearly an alien.
Okay.
That's like wearing a human's disguise, right? Because he has all of the kind of personality foibles that any other intelligent being would have, but he clearly doesn't understand human contact, whereas Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg they're robots that like they've been generated by their own computers. Like, hey, how are we going to cover this up?
I don't know if the alien thing threw me off because I've never heard him described that way, but it makes total sense.
Think of Elon Musk as an alien covered in human skin, and that's suddenly everything he does makes much more sense.
Yeah, I mean, man.
Yeah.
I would just love to be a billionaire that would just be great. All right. So anyways, my next thing, which you kind of knew I was going to ask you about is, I don't know how to feel about the Logan Paul Money Mayweather fight that happened last night or this past weekend, I guess. Like, I just don't, I guess it's great for them because they made a bunch of money, but Logan Paul got famous for just talking about Pokemon cards on YouTube, and now he's fighting one of the greatest boxers of all time, and and it's just bullshit. I don't know how Money Mayweather could do that. Like, I don't know. I mean,
this is my theory on how he could do that is because all of the people who are fans of Logan Paul are probably wondering who the hell Floyd Mayweather is.
And that's actually the kind of the thing I've heard from people when I've talked about this is that, in today's, the people who are watching that match last night or that boxing match this weekend, I mean, they weren't Floyd Mayweather fans. They were Logan Paul's subscribers or whatever. I don't know, man. It just grinds my gears. I don't know why.
I get why people are annoyed with it. And I think that is that we as a society, because of social media, are basically shifting into a hierarchy in which it doesn't matter how good you are at something. It matters how famous you are, right? Like people would much rather watch Logan Paul box than Errol Spence. Errol Spence is one of the best boxers out there. Nobody knows who he is. Everybody knows who Logan Paul is. And so we've just had this big shift where what's better, to be famous or to be good? You'd much rather be famous because that's a lot better for you. And I think that's what annoys people at their core about it.
Say it was an NFL game, but it was all YouTubers versus the NFL's best. I mean, are more people literally going to tune in who are influencer fans than they are NFL fans? I mean, is that what we've come to?
I think more people would tune in for a spectacle. right? First of all, most of the time that people are watching football is because it's their hometown because they got money on the game.
I mean, yeah, especially yeah. Well, I mean, his brother's the real deal, right? His brother's actually trying to fight UFC
They're not
fighters.
the real.
Okay,
They're
yeah,
not the.
I'm sorry. I should not have said the real deal. I'm sorry. I should have said maybe he's the more serious one about actually fighting or competing. Not the real deal. I'm sorry.
The only question that I honestly really have and continue to wonder is if Floyd Mayweather actually tried.
No.
Like if he went in there and really tried.
I think there was only like 64 punches landed between the two of them in 8 rounds. That's
Floyd Mayweather is a defensive fighter, though.
Yeah, well, I live in the hometown of one of the greatest ever, son.
Who's that? Rocky?
Joe Louis.
Nobody knows who that is.
Oh boy. All right. Let's just move on before you get a lot of hate this episode.
Okay. So are you ready for our top 5?
Yeah, I can't believe you just said that, but yes.
Okay, so our top 5 this is the guy who loves Detroit all end, even though the city is collapsing and burning as we speak. And he doesn't even live in Detroit anymore because even he moved out, and you have to admit it, you don't live in Detroit anymore, do you?
I do not. I'm a fringer now. I live in a suburb a few miles outside of the city limits. Yes.
Okay, all right. Simple yes would have been okay in that circumstance instead of trying to weasel your way around it and explain it. But anyway, our top 5 is top 5 buffet foods. Not top 5 buffets, top 5 individual foods at the buffet. What's your number 5?
Oh man, I was gonna say I love this. I love it. I'm gonna start off. We're gonna go pizza.
Okay.
I mean, for simple reasons. There's so many options to choose from.
What kind of pizza? First of all, don't get all excited and just come with some blanket statement like pizza. I need a specific kind of pizza.
I might get one of each. I don't know. I mean, that's the best thing about buffet.
Okay.
They're going to have multiple kinds of pizza.
All right. What would be your ideal kind of pizza, though? Are you going to go in there? Are you going to look for like a pepperoni? Are you going to look for a sausage? Are you going to look for the triangle cut, the square cut, the thin crust, the thick crust, the cheese crust? Like, what are you going with here?
I'm going to find whatever I can that's meat lovers. More meat, the better.
Okay. Do you have a preference about your pizza cut? You a triangle guy? You a square guy?
I mean, I'm supposed to say a square guy, but I'm more or less a deep dish guy, whatever shape that's in.
How do you feel about dessert pizza?
I'm not entirely sure I even know what dessert pizza is.
Think about it for a second.
Yeah, okay. I did think about it as you were talking. I don't know if I've had it, to be honest. I mean, what's different between dessert pizza and a piece of pie?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I
Pie,
consider the pie to be more like sandwich based.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you on that one, but all right.
There'd be more of a stacking, whereas in pizza, it might just be like the basic pizza component, and then they just throw the dessert on top of it. Whereas a pie seems to have more of a layered system. Is what I would say is the difference.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, my number 5 is crab rangoon.
Oh my God.
I would eat nothing but crab rangoon. I've had 22 crab rangoons once at a buffet.
Wow. That's a lot of crab rangoons, man.
It's delicious. Well, I didn't eat the whole thing. I just basically got the middle, right? I get straight to sucking up the good stuff.
I can't eat the rest of it. There's too many carbs, but I'm going to have all the cream cheese in the middle.
Yeah, why would I waste my time with the other stuff? Get to the good stuff, man. It's a buffet.
I agree.
If you go to a buffet and you get multiple plates, how much of the food on each plate do you generally eat? Are you going to tell me that you eat 100% of the food on that plate before you go back for another plate?
I will say it's my last plate that is probably maybe half eaten or something. And then I always kind of feel bad because I'm like, I shouldn't have got plate 7, but I just, wanted more. So.
I probably don't top out at any more than 65%.
Okay. All right. Well, that's why you're 5'8" 3/4" and 100 pounds.
I'm 165 pounds. Thank you. What's your number 4?
I gotta go dessert, so I'll just go with like an ice cream buffet or something.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll address that later.
All right.
I will address that later. My number 4 is an omelet. It's the only time I'm ever going to get an omelet is if I'm at a buffet or one of those ones where they make it in front of you. Like that's how you know you're that's how you know you're at a classier buffet is if they're making the omelet in front of you.
So my number 3 is I have like the breakfast buffet, but specifically the meat section, like the bacon, the sausage. Yeah, so along those lines.
Okay. I'm going to agree with that. My number 3 is potatoes. Different types of potatoes are always going to be like you can get some good mashed potatoes in there. You can get some like potato wedges that are in there. You can get fries, sweet potatoes. Like there's so many different ways that hash browns. There's so many different ways you can get some good potatoes at a buffet. So that's why I feel like potatoes, but specifically mashed potatoes are my number 3.
Okay. I don't know. That's not my top 5, obviously. I don't know if I put it on honorable mention, but my number 2, I think, is an interesting one, and it's cold cuts.
I never know what the fuck that is. I honestly don't know what that is. Is that just deli meat?
Yeah, any kind of deli meat, really. That's obviously cold. So, bologna, roast beef, ham, turkey, pastrami, salami, any of that stuff.
It's a ridiculous statement, right? I don't understand that at all. You want a buffet? Go get that stuff at the grocery store, man. Get it at the grocery store. It's probably cheaper. You're wasting money on a buffet. Actually, if you could go to a buffet, can you get takeout at a buffet? Can you take a plate at the buffet?
I mean, you have to be able to.
They've got to have some. No, they wouldn't let you do that. People would just load up and go home.
I mean, as long as you're paying, who cares where you eat it?
Well, if you were taking it at home, you could go in there with like 6 cartons, load it all up, and go away. If you could get a to-go box at a buffet, no buffet would ever be in business.
I think you can. I could be wrong, but I think you can. I mean, what are they going to do? Say no?
You might be allowed to box up what you've already put on your plate, but there's going to be some serious question raised there, right? Yeah, that's like you can't be a habitual line stepper in that regard.
I mean, you're probably right. I still think you can, though. I do. We'll have to ask somebody that might know.
My number 2 is bacon.
Just regular bacon, candied bacon, any kind of bacon?
I don't care. Bacon. Give me all of it.
Turkey bacon? Turkey bacon?
No.
Fucking rubber?
Actually, I've had like some turkey bacon's okay. I've had some decent turkey bacon. I don't particularly like it when they try to make bacon really thick. Like you're not impressing me with your thick bacon. Give me the greasy shit.
Thick cut bacon's pretty good, though.
I'm talking about that stuff that's like as thick as a pancake.
That's chewy. It's always chewy. It's just never very good.
It's like a slab of bacon as opposed to a piece of bacon. Okay. I bet we have the same number 1.
Sushi.
Yeah, sushi. Any specific type of sushi, though, for you?
I usually like the more spicier rolls. So, there's so many. Dragon rolls, kapow rolls, anything like that. Anything with that's spicy. And man, I love wasabi. I'll eat that by the handful.
Man.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. For people who are new to this podcast, I do not have a sense of smell. So my sense of taste then is also severely limited. Pretty much all sushi, it kind of just tastes like sushi to me. All sushi is basically sushi. Like I really like it, but the only thing that's changing is the consistency, not necessarily the taste of it. It's too subtle of a taste for me. Unless it's really different, like we're talking like dragon roll versus Philadelphia roll. Otherwise, it's all pretty much the same to me.
Okay. I mean, I can't make fun of you because I get it, but man.
Oh, you can't make fun of disabled people?
Next thing you know, you're going to, say something else I said and say I made fun of somebody. I will say that it was very hard for me not to put on like a Chinese buffet, or like Chinese food, but that's kind of broad. I mean, there's so many things at a Chinese buffet. So
yeah, you kind of okay, let's go to honorable mention. And I don't have honorable mention, but I have some general buffet observations that I would like to share.
Okay.
Okay, you go. You start. What's your honorable mention?
Oh, well, I mean, Chinese. So like Chinese food, Bagels, like a bagel buffet.
Oh, I don't think
Like,
I've ever had those at a buffet. That seems like a waste of buffet time, to be honest with you. You're filling up on bread when you could be doing something else.
yeah, but you get a bagel, right, and they have all the spreads and everything. It wasn't bad.
Have you ever gotten a bagel or a piece of toast and put like multiple different kinds of spreads on
Yeah.
the same individual piece?
That's
Like
usually how I
split,
eat
like-
my bagels.
You're going to put like, how are you dividing it up? You're going to put
I usually
like
do
cream cheese on the left side and like jam on the right?
I usually do a layer of cream cheese followed by a layer of jam on top of that on the same.
Okay, that's not what I mean
bagel.
though. Like you're making a combination. What I'm asking is, have you ever gotten like a piece of toast and in the top left part you put orange jam, and in the bottom left part you're going to put strawberry, and then in the top right you got blueberry, and then you got cherry. Like have you ever been that crazy at a buffet?
No, man, ain't no one got time for that shit.
It's too much work. That's really the only
Too much.
reason not to do it, is too much work.
Yeah, ain't no one got time for that, bro.
No, it's
You know that.
a lot of effort, honestly. Okay, what else you got?
And then I have Jell-O, and that was it.
You got to be fucking kidding me.
I
You're
like
a
Jell-O.
grown man. You're gonna.
Oh, act like you don't like Jell-O.
No, I don't. I'm not going to
Okay.
waste my time with Jell-O at a buffet. You're making the wrong kinds of decisions with your honorable mentions, right? You're loading up on bagels and Jell-O. Jell-O is one of
Well,
the cheapest things you can possibly get. That's a waste of time. Pudding, I could make a little bit of an understanding for, because I'll get me some pudding at a buffet. But Jell-O is like, every time I see Jell-O, I wonder, why did they even have this at this buffet? And they don't have multiple kinds of Jell-O, do they? What buffets are you going to where they got more than one
yeah,
color
I
of
mean, they
Jell-O?
usually have like 2 or 3 colors, and they have all the toppings from chocolate to whipped cream, and it's good, man. It's like an alternative dessert.
But the problem is, it's an alternative to what? Eating dirt in the parking lot?
Listen, I don't want to fight
Because
with
I would,
you
if
about
I had a
Jell-O.
choice between hey, you can have Jell-O, you can have dirt in the parking lot. I'm gonna go with the Jell-O, but I'm gonna think about it for at least a couple of seconds. And like, okay, could I have neither? Like, no, you have to have one. And then I would have the Jell-O. But that's the only way that I would ever get Jell-O at a buffet. That is a waste of time.
All right, what are your
Unbelievable.
observations there, sir?
Okay. I generally do not like meat, especially like a nicer cut of meat at a buffet. I find that's always a waste of time. Pizza's pretty solid buffet. Pizza's up there. Dessert pizza, not so much. Eggs can be very, very hit or miss at a buffet. You can run into some really good eggs, and I can still think of a place where I had fantastic eggs at a buffet, but have never had them again. All Chinese food is good at a buffet. All
Yep.
Italian food is generally bad at a buffet.
Which is funny, actually.
Right. All Italian food is bad at a buffet. All Chinese food is good.
Like, even I think the one time I can remember, I had like lasagna, but it was crusty and just
You're
wasn't
right.
good. Just was not
Right.
good.
I think because the effort to reward ratio is not good enough for Italian food. So they just leave it alone and they don't mess with it.
So really, all that we've all gotten from listening to you is, if we want Nick to come to our buffet, we better have some high class shit.
Yeah, man, just give me some sushi and some bacon and some mashed potatoes, a nice omelet, and some crab rangoon, and I'm good to go. If you come at me with spaghetti and Jell-O, then I'm just going to walk right past. I'm going to decline that invite.
Well, I guess we won't be hanging out anytime soon.
Okay, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of Profoundly Pointless. I want to thank you so much for joining us. If you get a chance, like, download, subscribe, share. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. I was tempted to put breakfast on there as a whole. The problem is, it's just, there's no consistency. Well, there's consistency in the idea that you can get pretty much average breakfast anywhere, but it's really hard to find good breakfast, like good eggs and good pancakes. Easy to be average, very difficult to be better than average. but let us know what you think are some of the best buffet foods.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.